Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. We are here at the South Park Center and I'm delighted to be joined by Maya with her movie Dogwood. Let's take a look at a clip.
This flower likes to live in wet places. Look there. It has the same green stalk, but little white petals. It looks like there's almost little green hearts in them.
Maya, I'm so happy to do this in person with you, and congratulations on Dogwood, and thank you for bringing your film to NewFilmmakers LA. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Yes, thank you, Danny. I'm very excited to be here and excited to share the film with NewFilmmakers LA. So Dogwood is an indigenous, matriarch-led revenge story with a dash of magical realism, and was entirely shot on my ancestral homelands, the Blackfeet Nation.
I mean, that's got to be a wonderful experience for you to do it actually on location and from where you're from as well. How wonderful. It was a very, very special story, and I'm overwhelmed by the cinematography, your direction, your actors, the story, the importance of the story. There's so much context in there. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this particular project?
Yes, no, a wonderful question. So I think in the social context of 2021, there's a lot of folks that are kind of opening their eyes to the first time to Native issues and, what are the problems that really exist in Indian country. So you're getting a lot of talk for the first time about, the fact that, Native women go missing at such extreme rates, that we face different rates of violence as opposed to other communities. And a lot of the times, I'm very happy first that the conversation is happening and some eyes are opening, but it's really only filtered through statistics, through those figures, very devoid of kind of what that actually feels like, how it affects a community, how it affects a family. So with Dogwood, I really wanted to have an in-depth kind of look at, how indigenous communities can come together, how Native women are strong, to get to really celebrate that strength and hand the voice back to Native women. So that's where the idea of Dogwood really began.
I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because it's so much more than statistics. And what I love through your film is you just show these incredible women, their strength, their camaraderie together, their support for each other, over a very difficult story and difficult subjects, and some way overdue subjects that need to be heard and spoken about. I was just mesmerized by your whole way in which you presented this. Firstly, how beautiful the location was, which I'm sure you're very proud of as well. And then just the context of just these incredible young and seasoned actors coming together. Tell us about how you brought your casting together, and then of course, filming on the reservations as well.
Yes, so casting was incredibly, incredibly difficult. I mean, a lot of Native folks are never given the opportunity to train as an actor. Of course, it's hard to get that training as an actor. If you grow up on a reservation, it costs money. It's an incredible amount of time that it takes to get to the craft. So my actors are such absolutely wonderful people, and I am so privileged and so happy to have found them, and I want more and more Native actors to find that opportunity. But I am very privileged to kind of partner with Stacey Rice as my casting director, and Stacey Rice works with Mid-Thunder Casting, and Mid-Thunder Casting does an absolutely wonderful job with kind of very small budget films, big budgets, a lot of things go through Mid-Thunder Casting. So that's how we were able to find it. We started off very local, trying to find first and foremost Blackfeet actors. Incredibly difficult. We searched and searched. I posted on our online Blackfeet News Facebook groups, had my grandma call people up, say, hey, will you audition for this? But ultimately, the casting process, really was serendipitous. There was such immense strength and feeling that shone through in each of my actors' tapes. But of course, I defied some of the paramount rules of filmmaking. I've got child actors as leads. I've got animals in the film, something that, was incredibly difficult and hard to do. But truly am so grateful because everyone was really able to kind of believe in the vision of the film, incredibly kind, wonderful people, but also were able to portray that emotion on screen with I won't say ease, acting is an incredibly difficult job, but we're able to tap into that deep place that really kind of, I'm so grateful kind of my actors and their amazing performance on screen.
Yeah, I mean, it really was, and it was mesmerizing to watch their journey, and even just their thought processes of what they were feeling in that particular moment. Again, I think from the first shot, you take us into this beautiful, beautiful part of the world, which was just, it gave me chills just watching it, and it's something that you're from. What was it like filming there in that experience?
Yes. So I mentioned earlier we shot entirely on the Blackfeet Nation, which is, a corner of the world tucked in Montana on the border between Glacier National Park and Canada. And so Blackfeet traditional territories was all throughout the state of Montana. And my family actually owns land that we got through allotment directly outside the Cut Bank corridor of Glacier National Park. Oh. So the sequence that is kind of a montage in the film of Rose gathering those plants, and that creek at the end is on my family's land, right outside of Glacier National Park. So it was really, and I've got photos of myself, age 3, playing in that same creek and same stream, yes. And so I couldn't imagine shooting it anywhere else, something I knew I very much wanted to go back to my community and make this with them. And
that's so
includes
special.
The land.
That's so special. I love that. It really is like a picturesque and that's mesmerizing. So this story, captures a lot. There's a lot of things that you mentioned already that that it does. But I think this is the serious issue, of what families are going through, what maybe children are experiencing, particularly in Native American communities. I was on the edge of my seat because I just wanted these incredible, characters you created to be safe. And I love how they came together. Now, for you as a director, how do you go about directing something like this? Because there's got to be a lot of hurt, there's got to be a lot of pain, and there's, to some people, there's a lot of, this is something that they experience. How is that process for you? How do you approach that?
No, it's a very important question. So thank you for asking. I grew up acting, so I'm very grateful to have had that experience. I was not a good actor, but I think I've had bad directors. I've been directed poorly. I've been in tears on stage. I've come up against what it's like to not feel like I am family or like I am heard. So first and foremost, I know it is my job as a director, and I make it paramount to have my cast and crew really feel like a family and like they belong. So that started with the kind of logistics of the production. So we all stayed in a ranch house that was owned by a family friend. So we spent 24 hours a day with each other within like a 10-foot proximity to the next person. So we ate our meals together. We woke up and had our coffee together. And in all ways, just wanted to center that actor's mindset. So checking in with them at all times and making sure they knew what was coming next, kind of those basics. But at the same time, we opened the production with a prayer led by a Blackfeet elder. So really wanting to make sure that we folded everyone into my family. And that extended even with, we had a traditional soup, berry soup from the Blackfeet that my mother and I had made, that I had picked the berries from, and we had that for dinner the first night.
Oh, wow.
So, a multi-step approach and sort of how you build that community.
Yeah, I see, that's the only way to do it,
Yeah.
I love that you did that, and I think there's a certain element, as a filmmaker or where I could feel the energy in the film that you really had just brought this team together, and it all synced perfectly because you took the time to really put the energy into each other, and the care as well, I think, that needs to be on set. What was fascinating to me was also that I love the choice that you didn't choose to show his face.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I'm just curious for you personally, what was your kind of decision behind that?
Yes, I'm very glad you saw that and picked up on that when watching. It was written into the script, and it was even in like the pitch deck that I had sent out. So it was a very early tenet of the film that I wanted to keep, that we not show who this man is. And in all ways just wanting to center in the scenes where Skip is we wanted to focus on Katie, on her face. We wanted to be close to her. We wanted that camera with her, to be experiencing that with her. I think historically we have a lot of films about Native trauma. I have a very hard time watching films about Native folks because I know that so many people see statistics, latch onto those, and then they put that in their film without realizing a lot of times that can be re-traumatizing. So I didn't want to shy away from difficult subjects, but at the same time, knowing it is a difficult subject matter, I wanted to make sure we were with our women, that we were showing them as strong, but also that we don't see the abuse necessarily at its height in the film. So we understand that when she comes home in the middle of the night, that's when it was bad. And I, didn't want to see when things get bad. Instead, really invested in kind of like, how has this affected Katie? And what are her plans for the future? How do you move forward from something like that?
I love that you made that choice because, I don't even think that, I know it sounds, have you felt this, but, he didn't deserve the attention. You know what I mean? Like, and what I did see was just the strength and resilience of this family, of these women, coming together, and that's all I wanted to be focused on. And I think the whole idea, like you said, that kind of bringing up that trauma again, and sometimes those visuals don't need to, we already know, we already can feel what that could feel like, so we don't want to draw any more attention to that. And so I love that you focused in on their strength. Now you are a fantastic TV writer. I'm just saying, we're very fortunate to be with you, and you're doing so many amazing things. I'm just curious, what is next for you on the horizon?
Yes, so very exciting. In, I believe, March of 2022, I will have my first project as a staff writer out on screens on AMC and AMC Plus. Thank you. Yes.
Did you hear that, everybody? That's amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Yes, and I'm very fortunate. I work across features and television, so getting to get that first project as a staff writer out into the world, but continually developing, finding new books, sitting down and asking that exact question: how can we change the narrative on Native stories? How can we change that lens and really hand the power back to Native people, Native creators, and get our stories out there in a really fruitful way? I think I really want my stories to explain who I am as a person, as a Native woman, and do the work for me. And I think there's such amazing change on the horizon that I'm very excited for the future. Yeah,
I'm excited you're leading the way. That's what's so exciting, because you have such a fantastic voice and visionary as an artist. And, I'm so happy that you've got these exciting things coming your way as well. As you know, there's a lot of incredible Native American talented people out there that want to find their way and their foot in, the door of entertainment or their creativity. And it was so special having this in partnership with NewFilmmakers LA and having an in-focus celebration of Indigenous cinema and storytellers. And I'm just curious if you've got any final thoughts for anybody out there that want to follow in your footsteps, particularly, Native American filmmakers, that we know the talent is there and we want them to get as big a platform as possible. Do you have any kind of advice in terms of a storyteller, as a filmmaker, anything you want to share?
Yes, I mean, I'm incredibly privileged to do what I do, to be able to tell stories for a living. But I worked incredibly hard to get here. And I made Dogwood with the funds that I got from my first TV writing job. So mostly self-funded, in addition to Native Arts and Culture Foundation, because I centered the idea that you make your own luck. So you've got to be continually, trying to find ways to make your own stories and writing. And that's really what turned me to kind of screenwriting, was that, I know the stories that I wanted to see on screen weren't being written. So I would have to do the work for myself. So really, in all ways, do what you can, and people deserve to hear your stories. You deserve to have them told, and we need them. We need those stories out in the world. So I think just find your guiding light and never stop knocking on doors.
I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm really very excited. Thank you for Dogwood, and thank you for creating, fantastic stories. We're so excited to continue on your journey and keep making more movies and work for us, because you're doing really fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Danny. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Maya Rose Dogwood, March 2022. We know we've got to watch on AMC.